we got a secret to tell you. We got a secret meeting that's going on. It's about how we're going to go around and find a way to lose to the New York Giants. Damn Eagles. I was like, what's going on? I thought it didn't matter because, all you do is win, no matter what. But apparently, the what is y'all not doing what y'all need to do. I was like, let's all be honest. None of us seen that this was going to happen, really, to be honest. Like, do we think, I was like, the Eagles been sort of, churn into some wins, but let's be honest. We thought, like, if there was ever going to be a time to get right, it was going to be the Giants. I was like, look, I put it like this. That front of the Giants, Kayvon, Burns, Carter, Sexy Dexy. I was like, okay, they can cause some havoc. Maybe Saquon won't get what he needs to do. Jalen Hurts ain't going to be running out that pocket like he was because there's some athlete to chase after him. But they'll pull it out. I was like, it'll be a 21-17 win for the Eagles. Then, it's like, oh, y'all down real quickly. But then it's like, oh, okay, just 13. Then just 10. What could go wrong? Then everything just sort of gone wrong. Now I do think I was like, I don't know, why did I start to sound like I was like a Southern man about to sell you on an idea? Now I do dirty well. But no, for real. I was like, look, it was promising. Saquon got them big runs. I was like, you get 19, get 17. He had a couple in here. I was like, but then you seen in the second half, it didn't really flow that well. I was like, I do think that after, it's like after they was getting ran down a little bit, that the Giants was like, all right, we gonna make them pass. But the thing is, they was also passing too. Hurts was slinging the ball a bit, was getting Goddard in there. I was like, they was showing AJ Brown the ball early. I was like, Jalen Hurts actually played a fairly good game. I was like, but it just ain't feel right. And that's sort of like, I feel like when everybody was sort of saying that, and the crazy thing is that I was like, I've been wanting to do a video on the Eagles for a minute or whatever. And I was like, oh, I don't know why I'm divulging my plan to you. But I was like holding on because I was like, I'm gonna see how they can turn the thing around. Kept on going down, but hey, it was still winning. And I was like, you know what? I'll do the video because they'll beat the Giants. Things will look good that I could do the video. I'm still maybe do the video. But with this, I was gonna say is that it doesn't feel right in the same way that everybody always was talking about the Chiefs. Like the Chiefs been like, feeling like this, where it's just like, hey, they keep on winning. Hey, they keep on winning. They keep on making it. But it's like, it ain't running the way they're running. It ain't throwing the way they're throwing. But they still winning. I was like, but it still felt, if it always is like, oh no, something wrong. But they were still able to do it. The Eagles is like that, but something's off. Or whatever. And the crazy thing is that the Eagles is always in some form of this, whether it was like, last year they were sort of like this, but they went to the Super Bowl, and I just get to make everybody go with the Men in Black thing, go, and they forget. But the year before that, same thing, guess what? I was like, basically, ain't do nothing. So, what team are we going to get this year? Now, you could say, after that sorry year, they fixed it, and then they would go to Super Bowl next year. But the problem still lingered. And you want to say, I was like, that team that year also wasn't really doing that great either. I was like, and look, they got hot at the right time. I was like, and they had Saquon Barkley to fall back on. I think that's what the more the troubling thing here is the fact that they show they can still pass. They can get to the running, but then it just seems like it gets very stagnant. And the thing is that I think what was even more frustrating that I feel like y'all have to say is that if Jalen Carter is not playing, this defense isn't. And I was like, Mitchell got hurt later on, but the teammate. There's no way that anybody would have thought that Jaxson Dart and Skattebo was basically going to take this game over. And I was like, this is what I'll say with the Giants. And you've seen it when Russell had his chance. Boy, oh boy, was there a difference of feeling. It felt like when Russell came in, and the fact that he feels like the backup that you like, I don't want him to do nothing but hand this ball off. Was basically how he was feeling. I was like, it felt like to the point that I was like, I won't doubt that we'll hear a report that somebody is going to be like looking into the fact that Jaxson Dart doing with the concussions or whatever like that. Like, because I was like, you seen his coaches like, what's going on? Like we need him out there and stuff in a way that kind of like, it's like, yo, this boy. I was like, this dude really don't want to lose because his job on the line. Like, you felt it. I was like on the Giants side, but I like to think about it. The Giants don't have their number one receiver anymore, and this ain't a team or a situation where I feel like you could say the losing your number one receiver and you pass the ball all around can make the team better. This is not one of them situations. I was like, I mean, it got a bunch of people the chance to prove themselves, but it's not like they have players on the receiving squad that you feel any way really about, to where it's like, oh, okay, where it's like, oh, this. I was like, don't get me wrong, like Lil Jordan Humphrey, who's been around a bit, big. I was like, big player, 6'4" dude. I was like Robinson. I was like a little shifty, speedy guy. So I'm like, you got people, but it ain't nothing that you had to feel about. But it didn't matter. I was like, my bad, Jaxson Dart. My bad, not Jaxson Dart. I was like, it's really the athleticism. I think that really changed. I think that really changed the game to where they just. And it's funny that they couldn't do nothing about it. And I was like, don't get me wrong. I was like, this is probably his best game, because I was like, you know, first start, whatever. They weren't really doing anything. Second game, I was like, look, it was bad. Third game, I felt like I was like, oh, against an Eagle defense that even though they ain't got to their people, they still got a defense that shouldn't have been that. And he was over there, he was laying out darts, he was throwing it in there. So I was like, he played a really good game. But you could just tell the athleticism is what different. I think also you could tell the difference of like him versus Russell is not just athleticism, but also the easy throws that he was just getting the ball out. I think that really makes a difference of it. And just kind of like Russell really at this point is really just a deep ball type of guy or whatever like that. And it's not the same juice. But you could tell, like, basically the same plays are there. It just feels, you know what it feels like? It feels like basically you switched up significant others. You lay down the same stuff and they just mesh better. That's all it was. I was like, you're just like, oh man, you're almost like, you know, you're not doing as much as the other one, but it just feels a lot better here. I don't know what it is. I was like, that lilac. Like, that's what it just feels like with Jaxson Dart in there. Which I also want to say, I think I might have heard somebody say this or whatever, but I was like, he really seemed like Jalen Hurts. He really just seems like like they both seem like very like 6 feet stout, big dudes. I was like mobile and fast enough. Like, they're not crazy fast, but they're also big to. Cause I've seen some people that try to make the thing with like Josh Allen, cause Dayball was there, and it's like he's not Josh Allen. He's more like Jalen Hurts in there. Arm. I was like, I think he had a better arm than Jalen. As far as, you know, like throwing and stuff like that. Well, our accuracy is a little bit different to talk about. But yeah. The Giants, I was like, and guess what? The pass rush was getting to that line. Like that, like when you have a line that got people that's hurt and all this other stuff, that's how the line's supposed to look. Like, they was getting around Jalen Hurts, and they also had good integrity of not letting him go crazy, which there was played. I felt like Jalen could have did that, but he didn't, when I felt like he should have at the same time. And sometimes I was like, this is sometimes what you get with Jalen, where I feel like a lot of times they do have what they're saying in the huddle or in the meetings about what to do, where it's like, we want to get the ball, running the ball established, we want to pass the ball. Because I was like, game when with the Cowboy, they couldn't do nothing else. But guess what he was able to do? He was able to run against a touchdown. I didn't really see that as much here when I was like he did have angles to run and stuff like that. It did seem like he was out here to pass, and I was like he did do a good job passing. But I was just like there was just stuff where I'm like your threat to run would help here as well too. But I also didn't imagine the defense would just look like that. Like the defense, I was like, it just seemed like they just got worn down or whatever through Dart, through Skattebo, through some of the short passes and stuff like that. That they were just sort of getting. I was like, and they had a couple big plays, but I was like for the most part it was short and medium passes. Yeah, but I was like, but the defense has not also been just there. I was like, we know the line's banged up, but hey, whatever. I was like, and I felt like they tried to get him back in the game with a couple of the pass interferences that I was like, with a Debo and stuff like that. But nah, that I was like, and to make it so weirdly funny is the fact that I was like, the Giants was impressive because they beat the Eagles in a way that nobody thought they would beat the Eagles, but I didn't think that it was a game that was like, oh man, do you see what the Giants are doing? It's real like, yo, the Giants are beating the Eagles. What the hell is going on here? Because it wasn't nothing flashy from either team. It wasn't nothing of like no crazy runs or nothing like that. It was like a standard regular football game. Like there wasn't nothing too crazy going on or whatever in that situation. So like you would think like it's something like this, like, oh man, like there was a 68-yard. I mean, what it was, I was like, actually, I say that, but I was like, there was the interception, that flot or whatever. I was like, he got that. I did think really did like that was more of a seal in the game though, more so than like that. That was a little bit of the icing on top. So I was like, to me, I was like, at the same time, I was like, dang, wasn't really nothing too crazy. But I was like, that's actually what the Giants need to do. They're the less talented team, the team, the underdogs. They're supposed, like, it's almost like playing the game. You're going playing against a high level team that you can't really win, so you got to do a little bit of everything about the book. Oh, we got a couple sacks here. We got them to make a mistake. I was like, we're able to run the ball, control the clock. Our quarterback ain't doing nothing crazy. Our quarterback is moving the chains. That's it. And I was like, they was able to win. But yeah, so I don't know what's going to happen with the Eagles now. Look, we're going to talk about them. That secret meeting is now going to be a goof, or whatever. Jalen Hurts is going to come out there and be all chilling, like, oh, sometimes when the rock falls, you gotta know how to catch it. And it's like, what? Saquon Barkley is just gonna probably smile or something like that. And AJ Brown, hey, listen, I'm glad I do loves book because he's gonna be in the library a lot after this. I was like, cause now you getting the ball and guess what? Yeah, y'all lose. So what you gonna have to say now? Kind of thing. So anyway, I was like, man. I was like, don't get me wrong. I kind of want the Giants to win because I'm like, hey, I'm here for discussion points, and so I'm totally down with this. Also, I was like, I don't know Jaxson Dart like that, but I do think the Giants are on the good because I was like, I think that free agent class looking good. I was like, they pass rushers. I was like, they look like they got them for a good while too. I was like, they ain't got to pay Thibodeau for like another 2 years or whatever. Carter's on a rookie deal, so I was like, they're good there. I was like, Skattebo is a good back, I think. I was like, a decent to good back. I was like, I don't think he's great or nothing like that, but I was like, I think he could be a foundation piece. They still got to find a top back or whatever. Tracy Robinson, not Tracy Robinson, but Tracy Jr. or whatever. I was like, I think he's more of a scat back, third down back. I was like, you mess well, but they're going to basically ride Skattebo, I think, for the most part or whatever. But I was like, he gets yards, but I was like, he's not that type of running back in that situation, so you still need to pair him up with. I was like, they still need another receiver as well. Robinson's coming on. I was like, I like Theo at the tight end. I was like, I think the young guys are starting to step up to where they might be looking good or whatever. And the Eagles, I was like, they lucky they only got Friday. They gonna get flamed all day Friday though. Letting everybody know that. Anyway, we'll see how it goes. Stalling, whatever. Trying to think of a catchphrase at the end. Anyway, I guess we'll go back to the